My name is Silent Joker 45. I'm joined by my buddy, the Killer Critic. Introduce yourself.
Hello, here's the Killer Critic is right here. And he's always ready to slay bad movies and bad games, to say the least.
Well, depending on the term bad game, in my own opinion, but everyone got their own opinions. And opinions are gonna strike once again because, oh my god, we can't catch a break with Kingdom Hearts. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we just question it. But it looks like the community, for once, might have some harmony. Is the Reminder trailer. Alright. It got leaked. We all watched it. There's no way around it. But it looks good. It looks better. It looks better. It looks so much better than the base game, in my own opinion.
Same here. Like, it pretty much has what I wanted to see in KH3. All the characters playable. I think at this point it's pretty clear that, well, we'll get to that later.
We'll definitely get to that later.
Yeah, let's save it for that. Let's save it for later. Well, the thing is, it has everything that I actually wanted to see in KH3, because it's not really the Disney worlds that drove me forward now. Because in the previous games, like when I was just starting out, the funny thing is, my first Kingdom Hearts game was actually Dream Drop Distance. Of all games to start with, it was that game. And yet, it was the Disney worlds at first that caught my interest. And then, when I played 350 every 2 days, that was like my second Kingdom Hearts game. I only bought it at first just to play as Mickey and Donald and Goofy because they were playable in that game in the mission mode.
Oh yeah,
but
I
then,
remember that.
Yeah, mission mode was pretty fun. It was more
really
like a guilty pleasure, really, for me. But then I played through the story, and I felt that 350 every 2 days truly changed my views on video games forever. It's sort of like the Metal Gear Solid for me, as it is for other players who play Metal Gear Solid. And I was like, it really does have the best story of all Kingdom Hearts games. And then when I saw Kingdom Hearts 2 on YouTube, I saw like the final fight against Zeniths, and I was like, oh my god, I need to get this game somehow. Some way, I gotta figure it out. And I tried every single thing at first. Like, I was trying to go through, see if there's a way to emulate PS2 games on PS3, but my PS3 couldn't do that. And then when I saw 2.5, I was like, I'm on board. And I just played the entire series. 1.5, Chain of Memories. Watched the movie at 350 over 2 days. That was utterly disappointing because it wasn't made into an entirely new game.
Yeah, well, I think they kind of, in my opinion, like it's kind of hard to do like a full game like that, especially with mission structure. Even when you're playing 358 days on the DS, a lot of the missions just kept repeating the same thing over and over. But what kept winning people over was that story that you got to see between relationships between Roxas, Shion, and Axel, along with what was the organization's true plan with these trio all along. So to me, that won and over. Maybe one day we'll get a remake or not. But hey, if you still have a DS around, pick it up. Like it's really good. I highly recommend playing that.
Still have my 3DS, so I still sometimes go back to it. And then when I tried out Kingdom Hearts 2, it was truly incredible. It was like the game that made me love action games. It had everything I wanted from a Kingdom Hearts game. Great combos. And the funny thing is, at first, I didn't really care that much about magic first. I thought that magic was just boring. Usually because I was like because I was just playing on standard mode, so I didn't really have to try that hard. But then, later on, I decided to try out Proud mode, and then I realized something, that this game has something inside it. And then
Critical mode.
I started loving the game. And then I tried out Lingering Will, and I realized something, that just mashing X ain't gonna cut it.
Nope, X doesn't cut it. Kingdom Hearts 3.
And Lingering Will was probably one of my favorite boss fights in all video games. It took me freaking years. It took me till this year to beat Lingering Will. That's how hard it was.
There you go, fans. There you go. Like, you know, to me, like Lingering Will is like top 3 boss battles that I will always remember. Like Artorias from Dark Souls, that's number 1. Virgil's from both Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 5. Those are so great. And then Lingering Will. Holy crap. No joke. No walk in the park, especially when you're on critical mode for the first time. Oh yeah, underpowered. underestimated the summons. I underestimated everything for Kingdom Hearts 2. Mostly because I'm a vanilla fanboy. Yeah, that's right, Kingdom Hearts fans. I, for the longest time, had my Kingdom Hearts 2 game on my PS2 with just vanilla. Well, but we'll get down to that later in a later video. Oh, definitely. Because, oh boy, reminded. Jesus, man. Oh my god, there's so many different emotions right now with Reminded. And Twitter, once again, it's like, yep, here we go again. I swear, I swear, it's like GTA San Andreas. Ah, shit, here we go again.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Ah, shit, here we go again.
Oh boy. Anyways, enough talking about Kingdom Hearts 2 in the old school days. Let's just talk about Reminded, what we thought about it. I'll let you start off first.
Well, I think probably the first thing I think that most people at this point kind of are really excited for Remind's day of boss battles. And honestly, I'm excited for the day of boss battles, but for different reasons than I should be. It's not just because I get to, replay these boss fights as much as I want, just harder versions. But it's because, honestly, I get to play good versions of these fights now. Like, for example, when you look at KH3's group battles, they were just not really good, in my opinion. For many reasons. For starters, your party members are utterly broken. Even the characters who aren't Roxas are still overpowered because they still do chunks of damage. And on critical mode, they just become utterly useless, and then you just get pummeled unfairly for stuff that you couldn't see coming. And then you just get ganged up on. But it just simply isn't fun to babysit your opponents. But now in day of boss battles, you only have to worry about yourself, considering it's only one opponent. And any mistake you make is only a fault of your own, unless your guard does not work.
Which they still have not fixed. In my opinion, that should be one big important thing in action games. Like, how can a series like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry or any other good action game out there really suggestions have a good dodge system or good block systems, or even the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro games, they understand a good dodge and block will win a match, not just spamming the attack button. You have to read the opponent correctly. So, is it that hard, Osaka? Is it that hard? I mean, sure, Kingdom Hearts 2 block, it was still kind of iffy from time to time. Reflect made up for it, but Reflect had to be timed correctly to get that damage going. Oh boy, is it that hard to ask?
Reflect was not a win button, to say the least.
There was a limit. There was a limit, and they knew what they were doing back in the day.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I hear this. I remember hearing a bunch of times KH2 had some unbalanced stuff. Stitch is unbalanced, and the match is overpowered.
But there was always a limit.
I understand. I could. Yeah, let me let you finish.
I agree. Yeah, sure. It's oh yeah, we agree with you. However, the challenge is, were they always broken? Depending on who you're talking to. But at the same time, there was always a limit. Summons took up your entire drive form. Magic took up everything if you were spamming a whole lot. Plus, you had to be careful on which situation called for which moment. You want to go full-out attack? Go right ahead, but be very careful because you could get screwed later by the revenge counter system. Basically...
And let me tell you something. Oh, sorry.
It basically comes down to this. The more times you keep hitting a boss, like Sephiroth, he'll just do a lot more damage back at you. So that's basically what it is. Or, just watch Bloody Biscuit's video about it, because he can explain much better than I can.
Let me tell you something. I definitely believe that there are some overpowered stuff. And a lot of that is more to do with exploiting the system and thinking about how to break it, really. I won't deny that limits are overpowered. Donald's limit is broken, and I won't deny that Final Form Fire Gun is overpowered, and Stitch is admittedly too overpowered. But it's not like KH3 is good at balancing either. In fact, I'd say it's worse.
In fact, Grand Magic was very overpowered in the very beginning, early stages of the life cycle of Kingdom Hearts 3. It preferred magic over physical attacks. After all, spam fire and win. Oh wait, spam Simba and win. And then when they heard the complaint, it's we'll fix it for you. Alright, cool. Now we got more physical. But they forgot to nuke Simba again. Yeah, just Lily, all you could do in Kingdom Hearts 3, this is literally what I did in critical mode. Which just spam Simba after I got him. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I could just spam Simba after somebody told me. Just spam Simba and win.
Simba's not even the most overpowered summon. Funny enough, in bosses, Ralph will literally break the game entirely. I mean, he is called Wreck-It Ralph, but there has to be a limit. Like the summons are they're utterly overpowered. Because I remember summons in KH2 literally deleting health bars, and you couldn't just spam magic, at least in boss fights, considering the Revenge Vice system was in place. You tried that, and you just get smacked down instantly. And they didn't really fix magic. In fact, magic in general in KH3 is completely flawed from the get-go. Fire is already too good. I mean, it's a projectile that basically homes in enemies. Why would you bother using anything else? You can just go and just shoot fire over and over. It's the least least amount of magic, and it also has great tracking. Why would I bother using Blizzard or Arrow or anything other than Cure really in general? I can just go and spam. Also, limits, randomized, and I have no control over it. I can't just choose when to initiate a limit.
Oh yeah, limits. They were sometimes like, oh yeah, like when you're fighting the final boss in the Monsters Inc. world, it's like, yeah, Goofy Bombardier game, give me. I need the Bombardier. I need the Bombardier. Give me the Bombardier. It's like, no Bombardier for me. And when I finally got it, I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh, this better be worth it. Holy crap, I beat the boss. Like, he only had like a few short amount of health bars left, and it's like, oh my god, I beat him because the Bombardier was helpful. So I don't know, Osaka, if you're listening out there. You're gonna give me the choice back now, because it was really about player agency and choice with Kingdom Hearts in general, and what should happen with players. Like, I mean, you don't become the best Keyblade wielder in the game for nothing. You gotta earn it. That's why Kingdom Hearts 2 or even Kingdom Hearts 1 in general were really good at the games, because you earn the powers over time and you kept getting better at the game. This is it's fine, but it could be better.
Hold on a second, I'll be back in a second, alright? I'll be back in a second, alright?
Yep. Hold on. Hold on.
Alright, well, Magic in KH2 always had different varieties, at least. Like, with Blizzard, it functioned as a shotgun blast. With Fire, basically gave a tornado-like effect. Thunder, it shot far away from enemies, so it was great for far away attacks. Magnet was good sucking enemies in. Meanwhile, why would I use anything in KH3 other than Fire?
That is true. Fire was very much broken. Like, even you saw like the very early stage of the game before they, nuke magic somewhat, it was very much broken. Even I agree that, oh my god, like, why wasn't I spamming Fire? Like even Mother Gothel, I remember like, oh my god, why wasn't I spamming Fire? Because that boss was just taking me too long. Plus, I do like a challenge, so I go under power a lot in certain places, but after a while, it's like, man, like, that game was fine, but it was like we said, it was a bit unbalanced, almost broken at times.
Oh man.
So we're hoping Reminded, once, the Reminded DLC comes out, maybe after, like, hey, maybe they fixed it, maybe not, but we'll see. Rev 1.06, then it's like, it doesn't fix too much about it. Then again, I don't keep up with tabs about what's going on in the game. In my opinion, what I did like about the Reminded trailer, what I saw is like, holy crap, they're redoing the entire Act 3. Like we said, there's playable characters. We'll finally play as Aqua again, then just the one moment in the moment that she had back when she was fighting Vanitas. Holy crap, playable Roxas, thank you, after so many years, make them playable again. That's great. Playable Kairi! Hallelujah! Praise our Lord and Savior Tetsuya Nomura. A.k.a. the real Lord and Savior is Gabe Newell from Valve Softworks. He listened. Make Kairi playable. Thank you. Thank you. All the Kairi fans out there. Playable. Yes! Yes! I just
I
had my
think
Street Fighter
that
moment.
I think that most fans of Kyrie that mistake something about people who don't like Kyrie. People don't like Kyrie not because she's Kyrie, but because of what the series does with her in particular. Like, they don't use her. She has great potential. I mean, she's supposed to be Sora's love interest, so you can do a lot of interesting stuff with her.
Which is very
In fact,
true.
if anything, KH3 probably would have fixed its filler issue if she was with Sora the entire game.
Which is what your rewrite did. Which I actually did like it. I actually did like your rewrites. In fact, I'm almost kind of liking the fans' rewrites much more than what the actual game gave us, for Pete's sake. A lot of them were actually really good out there. A lot of them are pretty good out there.
Yeah, I think Skywards, for example, is actually really awesome. I think Skywards and mine work at different points.
Mine, I think,
works.
His is more.
Okay.
Okay, no, you go.
All right, well, I think that Skyward Wings, What If, works better as a way to end the Xehanort saga, but still continue the series beyond that. But I think that mine also works as a way to conclude the series, which, honestly, I really do prefer the series just conclude after KH3. I don't really see much to go on after this. I think that the Union Cross stuff is just dragged out stuff. And this is a series that's been going on for a long time.
And in my opinion, it's not too bad to have stuff like, oh, there's cool backlore in story, but look at where the original, Union Cross came from. Japan web browser series only located in Japan. Then it's like, let's get on mobile. Okay, cool. I can take Kingdom Hearts on the go with me. But like we said, everyone's taste is going to be different. But in my opinion, I think the Union Cross stuff would have worked better if this was like a web browser series, like on YouTube, like for Pete's sake, like Hasbin's Hotel. That is a YouTube series, not created by YouTube, but created by a YouTube channel. I think that would have worked better that way. Or create like CGI shows and movies, like hey, I can watch something, but it looks really cool. And I guess people want a game out of it. Like, okay, cool, a game, but I believe that's its own double-edged sword, because that's another game I'm going to buy later to play stuff. Or, just do what they did beforehand. Create movies that were in the HD collections. I mean, back cover, in my opinion, worked because it was a movie, and even though I didn't play Union Cross, I could understand the motivations where they were coming from each of the Union leaders, and how pretty well done the movie was. It was only 1 hour long, and I learned so much more what was going behind the scenes in Union Cross. In my opinion, that's what Union Cross should be a little bit. It's kind of filler, but kind of canon, but still canon. It's something that you can enjoy and go at your own pace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I think the biggest mistake that Union Cross made is the fact that it really is it's tied too much in with the present timeline. I think that by tying it in with Sora and the gang, you've essentially made a potentially interesting storyline completely ruined, because now it's bound by Sora and the gang story, where you could have gone with a completely separate story with a new cast of characters and being a complete prequel series with its own cast, like a new villain that doesn't need to be tied to Xehanort, because by essentially tying the Master of Masters in with Xehanort, you pretty much take away Xehanort's role as the main villain, and Ventus being in the Union Cross timeline,
which questions how old is he? Like, even though they say he's young, but it's like, wait a second. Then how old is he? It's like, did he die or something? Did he get a new body? I'm like, oh my god, my brain is hurting right now. Now, granted, Kingdom Hearts fans out there, we know there's a lot of you out there, and a lot of you like the lore. I get that. But there's a point where you say, okay, is this too much? We should just have one stuff here and then have a new event there. Like, look at Star Wars, for Pete's sake. Love it or hate it. Love it or hate it. It's a joke right now, but love or hate it, George Lucas knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, unlike the Disney era, which is just winging it. Except for The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian's really good.
Yeah, that's probably the only good thing that's come out of Disney Star Wars in a while.
And Rogue One. And Rogue One. Mandalorian, Rogue One. They're the only two good projects.
It's kind of surprising that Darth Vader is the only character they've actually bothered to get right.
Oh boy, Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. Oh my god, they just ruined Palpatine.
Palpatine's
Oh,
gonna be a
oh my
freaking joke.
God! I swear, if there's a female, oh wait, there is a female emperor because Disney recanted it again. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God!
saw it.
Oh my God! What are you doing, Disney? But here's the
Like,
thing.
I can already imagine what people like people who back up Kathleen Kennedy sound like. Here's what they probably sound like.
Oh boy!
The Force is female. We are so gonna make a female
Oh boy!
emperor
Oh boy! This
because
video just got
we
disliked.
so wanna make the emperor female because the Force is female.
Look, but I am gonna say this. Like, is Kathleen Kennedy a good producer? She has produced good stuff. It's for some odd reason. It's when she got Star Wars. It's like, what are you doing, Kathleen? What are you doing? You say that, oh, there's no books for us to adapt. Yes, there is an entire extended universe for you to adapt, and you got it right with the Mandalorian. So good job. Most because the creative
Kathleen
team,
got right with the Mandalorian.
sort of ish. I'm
Kathleen
joking.
had nothing to do with it.
I'm
Actually,
joking. I'm joking. Because,
Oh, I
Jon
know.
Favreau and the team behind it, they figure like, hey, we can make the Mandalorian. And look at that, Kathleen. Take an example from Mandalorian and make good stuff out of that. Or, in general, just let the writers make their story and just wait a couple years to make it. Star Wars really doesn't work as a yearly franchise, save for the comic book films, because you can adapt whatever you want and we won't care. If it's good, Captain Marvel, then you'll be fine. Unless you're Disney, who wants to keep the next phase? Like, we're already doing phase 4 already? Most of this stuff is movies, or now, majority of it is going to be TV shows, so... Oh boy, Disney Plus. Nope. Oh God.
let me tell you something.
But back on
I
topic.
guarantee. Oh, okay.
But back on topic to Kingdom Hearts. We think
Yeah,
the
I
lore
think
is
that-
fine. There's a potential for different games, different side projects, which is fine, but why do they have to keep connecting back to the main series? Like, in my opinion, I almost honestly want to see a much more older, grown-up version of Sora in a completely different game where he's not the main protagonist. He's a supporting character,
Sorry, hold on.
That would've been
I'll be
good.
back a second, right?
which would have been
I'll be
good.
back a second, right?
All right, okay.
All right.
Anyway, guys, just let us know how we're doing the live stream. If you have any questions, just your own thoughts and discussion, let us know in the comment section below, and or subscribe to Killer Critic. I'll put a link below in the description once this video is uploaded, and I put his channel in the link description below hand. All right. Dun, 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 dun. I still like Kingdom Hearts 3 to a point, but there's a point where even I have to say that, that's it. Where it's like, alright, that's about it. It's actually kind of cool to be a Monster Universe. It's pretty cool. I wish it was more than just a factory.
All right, back in action.
Back in action. Here we go once again.
So, like, the lore, yeah.
The lore is
the thing
cool.
is,
It's really cool. It's interesting.
I think,
It's
like
like-
you were saying about grown-up Sora, yeah.
Maybe your Zora's him, maybe not. But then again, it's like, oh, great, add another Sora to the list. But which is kind of cool with their names. Sora, Sky. Yazora, Night Sky. That's kind of cool, actually. I'll admit, that's kind of cool.
Looking back at it, I think, like, when you see something, you can, you could have, if you just made Sora have a conclusive ending in KH3 and just not, like, do that disappearing thing, and you, like, made the characters relevant, you could just have another series starring Sora's son or something like that, and you could continue the series like that instead.
I mean, I'll example one of my famous examples out there, which a series should have done, but they didn't. They had to retcon a lot of stuff. Was the new ABC's Charm series. Now, I'm a fan of Charm, but when I heard the announcement of Charm, I'm like, oh, cool, Charm's coming back. I actually was kind of excited. But then I found out that, oh, wait, it's a reboot? I'm like, oh, no. But then I'm like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see if they can try it. But after a while, it was like, I should have just either gone to Netflix and just watched Charm, because essentially it's the exact same show, but it's just with a different cast. Granted, that's fine, but how they handle the show, how the cast is kind of written, it's kind of boring. I could have just watched the classic show instead of having the reboot.
Now, back to Remind.
No, back to Reminded, of course.
Yeah, I think like one of the things that caught my eye in particular, one of the things I've been looking forward to the most in Remind was the playable characters, because it's something I really felt like K Street, surprisingly, for
has a lot of characters.
A game that's supposed to be the game where everyone comes together to kick ass, they
kind of don't.
They barely have a role in the story. They're not even playable. Like Roxas
just shows up.
A no-brainer to have playable. He's basically a footnote.
Just shows up. That's it. And now this is where I shine. In my opinion, when you have a cast of characters like this, you're gonna need time to, get everyone together, get it going. This is why both Infinity War, Endgame, even some parts of credit, the Justice League movie kind of works in that way. I'd say kind of for Justice League. Hashtag release the Zack Snyder cut, please. Please, Warner Brothers, please. Release the Snyder cut, please. I want to see that version now.
I think, like, with Remind, I think at this point it's basically confirms that Mickey, Shion, Axel, and Ventus are going to be playable. I mean, at this point,
there's no
Mickey
denying
is definitely
it.
Confirmed.
There's
Mickey
no
is going to
denying
be playable. If they're willing to change Riku, the Riku fight with the Riku replica and Zigbar, they're going to change it with Marluxia, Larcy, and Luxor. They're just going to make you play as Mickey instead.
Which is probably going to be pretty cool, because, I've been dying to play the King ever since base Kingdom Hearts 2. Yes, in base Kingdom Hearts 2, not the final mix, you could play as Mickey. But only when you were officially knocked out. You could play as both of them, but you can only get Mickey once you were knocked out, and if you had the chance to get the King. It was always random, so you never knew when you were going to get him. And I thought that's going to be cool again. Play as Mickey, that's great. But in my opinion, when you have so many characters, you got to get it balanced. Like, we talk about Ventus, barely in the game. Shows up for a couple scenes, and then he's out of here. He's done. Roxas, one scene, and then it's like, oh, have Ventus and Roxas meet up. Here we go. Oh, they just look at each other. That's it.
That could have basically been an entire subplot of its own.
It could have been a subplot. And here's the best thing. And here's the thing about it. There's going to be arguments. Well, how do you do it? Or just in general. Well, isn't the point to end the game? The point isn't to end the game. But the point is, we got to get everybody back together. You set up a plot like this, but it's kind of ignored till the very end. We call this Chekhov's gun. Basically, it means if you have a loaded gun, that gun better be fired off in a script. Or in general, if something is important, like saving Aqua, saving Roxas, getting Ven, training Axel and Kairi, if that's important, I better see it in the movie, or in this case, I better have it be played out in a video game. But what does Kingdom Hearts do with all of its time? Blah, 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 Sora. You don't have the power of awakening. Get back up there and start training again. Hey, Yen Sid, we should really go save Aqua. Do you have the power of awakening? No? Get back out there and train. Ironically, it's only when Riku and Mickey don't show up that Chip and Dale are like, hey, Sora, Riku and Mickey haven't come back. To the realm of darkness we go! Really?
Yeah.
You're wasting my time. What about Roxas? The whole Twilight Town gang is in there. Hey, that could have been a cool subplot going. Have Sora and Hater and Pence and Led talk to each other. Keep saying, okay, who's this Roxas guy? Well, he's my nobody. Have them look at the picture again and it's like, hey, why does he look like you? Sort of ish. That could have been really good. That could have been great. You set up they set up a connection with Ienzo with the whole data there in Twilight Town. That could have been something interesting that connect into Roxas, because Ienzo's gonna be like, hey, Pence, get Sora back over here because I found something for him. Boom, set the plot. AKA Skyward Wing's story fits so much better because that plot is literally set up for you in his rewrite, and bam, it works so much better.
What's even more tragic is the Zenless Ansem scene in Twilight Town, because they basically say there's only one way to bring Roxas back, which is for you to give your heart up to darkness as well. And
that's a good setup. That's a very good setup. I kind of like that setup.
There was a Sora North fight that
It would have been great.
If there was a Sora North fight, that would instantly set the stage. That would have made a truly epic moment. And that could have been, that could have been the perfect time to make Riku and Kairi playable again. And to actually have the two interact with each other for once in the game.
Oh boy, yeah.
Like, they never even talk. Like, I think that with Kairi being playable, it's definitely gonna fix gameplay-wise her not being playable. I don't think it's gonna fix much of her story-wise because they
probably not much story.
wasted her.
They did waste her a lot, but hey, making her playable, seeing her play out, it's like, all right, there we go. We have a playable Kairi. Thank you. And only for potential for a future game to make the main cast, the main lead. So we'll see how things go. But then again, back to the stuff that I say about, like, we have subplots. Not everything needs to be important. Like, here's an example. Like, one example that I remember watching a movie that's like, oh, so this guy brings out, like, he was basically tied up. He needs something to escape. He used his broken credit card, but it's like, oh, wait, isn't that his girlfriend's name? Even though we never see the girlfriend in the movie, it's like, oh, he just used his credit card just to escape. Okay, it was just used. Or, like Kill Bill. The bride's got to escape out of the coffin. She's got, like, a knife. It's like, oh, where'd the knife come from? Nobody knows where, but it's like, hey, it was something that was used. So it's like, hey, as long as something is still being used, then I'm okay with it. But if you got a subplot that's going to be important later down the line, that's got to be used. Or something like, hey, I see a gun on the wall. That gun better be fired off in Act 2 before, things get really heated. Shaun the Dead. There's a shotgun in the bar. What does Shaun do in the movie? Grabs that shotgun and he fires it off. It's used.
That's probably one of the things that I think Remind is going to fix story-wise with Aqua and Zen. Although I don't think it's going to fix Riku having no role in Terra being... I don't think it's going to have any role in Terra being brought back, Riku being the
sort of ish.
Being one of the few.
I mean, hey, at least there's the cool boss fight between Possessed Terra and the Lingering Whale. Holy crap,
Yeah,
finally, a
that's gonna be
rematch. A rematch. It's definitely going to be 1,000 times better than Birth by Sleep because, oh man, that boss fight in Birth by Sleep, all I did was just spam shot locks because I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sick of this boss fight. I just want to move on. I'm like, okay, good, shot locks, that worked, thank you.
One of the bigger things that I'm hoping Remind is going to fix is base Sora because he is in dire need of an upgrade. Because he utterly pales in comparison to KH2 Sora. His combos are utter garbage. They'll leave him wide open, and it's basically a challenge to even keep the enemy suspended. And keyblade switching doesn't even work right. Like, you'll be stuck in the air like a moron, basically. Frozen until you switch.
I am hoping that stuff is somewhat fixed. I mean, like, there's a lot of videos out there showing them off cool combos. Like, okay, cool, that's a cool combo. But, anything else besides the cool combos? Look, the Keyblade designs, I'll give them credit for the designs. They look cool, they are varied. Except for the transformations, a lot of them just keep on repeating themselves. Like, like, we have, like...
The Ratatouille one?
Yeah, the Ratatouille. Yeah, the Ratatouille one, Olympus, they kind of repeat themselves and a bit more than that. But it's like, some of them are fun, some of them are cool, but in my opinion, it's like, if you're going to have a variety, have a good, healthy variety. It's fun to have a Keyblade like those, but it's like, a bit more wouldn't be too mine. But back to your mind.
It's not like any of them are useful.
None of them are useful.
Only second form.
Second form was kind of useful, plus that keeps getting repeated a lot of times, but we'll definitely see how things go from this point on. We'll see.
That's one of the reasons why. Oathkeeper and Oblivion are
so unique.
Oathkeeper and Oblivion are free.
They're so unique because that's what I would think if I get an Oathkeeper or Oblivion. They should be very unique, very iconic Keyblades that fans easily will recognize, and they better have some cool forms. And oh boy, they do have some cool forms. Just the quickest snippet of of Zigbar and Sora doing the JoJo's reference. Oh man, that looks so cool. That looks so cool.
I think like Oathkeeper and Oblivion are probably gonna be like added to my roster of Keyblades that I actually use when I bother to put on KH3, because when you use second form and like you basically feel like you're playing a good version of KH3, well, not good per se. I don't think even second form fixes some of the game's lackluster enemy design. the poor level design that has nothing to do with it, the boring boss fights. I don't think it fixes that. But with second form, I think I can at least tolerate KH3's combat design. And Oathkeeper and Oblivion seem like they harken back to the KH2 style of combos. But if the Black Code thing in particular, like the Black Code, the new mode where you can choose to not have the ability to heal, there needs to be a good trade-off for that, because there needs to be at the very least an ability to use the form changes without limit, like without ever having to or at the very least specific form changes. Like, for example, second form and Oathkeeper and Oblivion can be the only form changes required to actually transform.
Ooh, very good. That's kind of like one thing. Like, even when they announced it at the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra, they said there's an easy mode, but basically a mode like Devil May Cry, where like you get to be the ultimate badass, where you just one-shot everything, and like you said, like that Black Code mode. If it's good, it'll be a good, fun challenge for once in a while. But we'll have to see how things play out. I probably won't give a Game Pass for that, but it's like, hey, that sounds like a really cool idea just to get things more interesting and to expand the playtime that I would be playing a certain game.
The DL bosses, I think, are probably going to be one of the most important things to get right in the DLC, because this is going to be the first time we actually get to experience truly good versions of the organization bosses in KH3. And I think one of the biggest things they need to make sure they do add is the ability to choose whichever character you want in the fights. Like, I want to pit Roxas against Zenith, or Ven against Vanitas, or Kairi versus Larxene, or Riku versus Ansem.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing too. Yeah, that would probably be really good for me. In my opinion, that would be very good. Like, if they could give me that instead of having like, oh, just have Sora and Donald Goofy, okay, fine. But like, you're missing a big opportunity because you got this many Keyblade builders in here, and a couple of them are three of them are former organization members. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to have the big badass payback against Xemnas, against Axel, Shion, and Roxas? Come on. I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? I want that.
Really,
I want to do that.
The writers didn't want that. Really, the writers didn't want that.
But in my opinion, everyone is going to be like, there's like very negative to the base game. I think the base game, there is love, but there's a lot of stuff that was kind of questionable. Like, why didn't we save Aqua earlier? I talk about subplots. Chekhov's gone. Aqua kind of should have been rescued earlier. They would add a more interesting dynamic to the story. Why doesn't we have this third act right now that we're getting that looks so much better? Because hey, the fans' defense were like, oh, Aqua suffers from PTSD, and I'm like, okay, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. And my big defense was Senua from Hellblade: Senua Sacrifice. That's a character who actually suffers from mental illness, mental psychosis, but also because Ninja Theory, the developers, went to a company called Welcome Trust who studies mental illness, mental psychosis, to add more to the story of Senua and why she suffers from this. And it was a very good game. And now, Kingdom Hearts 3, oh, there we go. That's what you saw in the Category 5 Heartless Tornadoes. The Category 5 Heartless Tornadoes. You got those pesky Keyblade builders that just won't stop coming back. The Category 5 Tornado. They will one-shot every character before you. Until they get revived back.
I'm gonna be honest, Remind really should just rewrite the entire Terranort scene entirely. Like, that thing needs to be completely rewritten and just have the Demon Tower appear. Like, Terra just taunts the enemies, and then the Demon Tower makes the attack. And then you just fight them instead. They should fix that for the base game, because that Terranort scene is probably the worst cutscene in any Kingdom Hearts game.
He just one-shots everybody! He just one-shots everybody until Donald's like, is that a flare? It's like, darkness. Oh, no. It's like, everyone was just standing... Thank you, Donald, for being helpful for once.
Funny thing is, Donald is actually more useful in KH2 than he is in KH1. Funny enough.
That was the funny thing about it. I'm like Donald was more helpful in Kingdom Hearts 2 than he was in 3. And 3 is like, get better at it. You'll get there. And then it's like, then the end game is like, oh wait, saw him full pint. Thank you.
That probably had to do with the fact that all the other characters were pretty much useless in terms of
Or
dealing
just
out
nuked, or
damage.
just like, do you guys forget that we have somewhat of a strong character like Aqua? Well, technically she's supposed to be like the strongest in the series, but wait a second. You're telling me she gets out of the realm of darkness. We go save Ventus. Oh boy, this is Vernitas. Remember, this is her dialogue. Sorry, but you see me too weak far too often. Now it's my time to shine. And then it's like, oh yes, here we go. Aqua's gonna lay the smack down on Vanitas. And we do, and wait a second. You just block with your arms? Spread apart? With that fireball attack? You're joking. You're
There's two
absolutely...
things.
Oh my
There's two
god.
things they need to. There's two things they need to do with their mind. They need
Oh.
to balance out Riku and Aqua in the main game to be on Sora's level, along with the bosses. And with Venus, they need to replace him with a simplified, less health, with the Dea version of Venus, with less health though. Because at this point, Aqua and Riku make those fights jokes, even though they're supposed to be very critical moments.
But we'll have to see.
Like that was
We'll have to wait and see. We don't know too much about it, but we'll have to see. For what we see, it could happen or may not happen. But
I think that
who knows?
I think I like the playable character that they're going with the new playable cast. I'm glad they're gonna bring everyone because I'll give them credit. They're at least gonna make everyone playable there, and which I think was pretty much required at this point. Like they had to make all of them playable. I think that Riku is probably not gonna have that many changes. He might get a shot lock this time around, or maybe the ability to use like a darkness form or something. That might be it. Man,
We'll
I
definitely have to
messaged
see.
on.
In my opinion, like when we talk about so many different playable characters, you got to make them all at least feel different from one another. Like some examples: Devil May Cry. Both Dante, Virgil, Nier, and V, they all play very different. These aren't the exact same character models or the same combos. They all play very, very differently. Nier Automata, 2B, 9S, A2, they all play very different. While 2B and A2, yes, they are more combat-heavy androids. They both have the limits. And 9S, he's really just a support android. He's more of a reconnaissance android than a fighter. That's why he has more hacking abilities than the other two. See, they all play out very, very different. Heck, Osaka got this right beforehand, and ironically, in the re-release of Chain of Memories for the PS2, they got it right back then. So, what happened?
Well, the funny thing is, like, it's the other playable characters that I enjoy playing as more than Sora. Riku in particular, he's probably the character who I had the most fun playing as in KH3 because he feels the closest to KH2 that we ever had in the game. Because he has fast combos and he has a good block, a good dodge ability. He's pretty much exactly what I would expect a good version of KH3 to play like.
Yeah, that's true. And everyone's
And
like,
I think that
and there's always that comparison to good old Kingdom Hearts 2. I think the reason why is that because that was the series at its peak. It's like you couldn't get any better than that. You ended the series right there. You had a very good team. I know everyone's gonna say it's a Tokyo team, Development One, out there, which some of them are. Well, basically, like, some of the Tokyo team are on the Final Fantasy VII remake, which is only refueling the rage towards Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh boy. But I think because just how fun that combat system was. It was heavy action packed, yet accessible to newcomers. If you want to make the game more challenging, you could if you wanted to. Also, there was just a lot of good player choice in the game. You could either use magic, you could attack, and go to any of the limit forms, summons. It was overall just what you want in the game. Kingdom Hearts 3, I think they're on the right track, in my opinion. This is Osaka's team's better game they've ever made. There's just still need to fix out a few more issues, like blocking. I rarely ever block in this game. Really, to be honest, I rarely ever block. Magic was too overpowered. Then they nuked it. Then they forgot summons. But it's all there. If you want the combat to be flashy, go right ahead. I'll take a flashy combat system. But you're not like the Bayonetta team, which I absolutely love that combat. Bayonetta was punishing, yet hard, yet rewarding. Or Devil May Cry. Fun, fast, addicting, yet challenging at times. There's always got to be that good balance, and I think they can get it if they get one more push, one more practice. Then you'll have a good combat system.
I think, like, with back to the playable characters, I think it's also confirmed that Terra is also going to be playable. I think he's probably going to play, like, Lingering Will at this point. So they're probably just going to make Terra a reskin of Lingering Will, which is not really that much of an issue. They're basically the same character.
Same characters, it just is more of his armor form, that's about it.
I think that I'm really hoping that if they're going to have Sora travel back in time throughout the Keyblade Graveyard, that they change the final fights with Xehanort. I really am hoping they at least make Sora, Riku, and Kairi fight as a team, because that is the one moment that I really think KH3 needed to have in its final boss fight. Even though Donald and Goofy,
we love Donald and
Sora's...
Goofy over here. They're the iconic trio. You can't beat Donald and Goofy, but it kind of should have been, like in your rewrite, this is just gonna be, Donald, Goofy, but also, Riku and Kairi in there. It started with those 5. It should end with those 5.
The thing is, like, is that these Riku and Kairi are pretty much Sora's closest allies. Even Donald and Goofy don't have the same personal connection that Riku and Kairi have. And I think that if Remind at least puts that instead, at least makes it so it's Riku and Kairi instead, or perhaps all 4 of Sora's friends fighting alongside him, I think that I will enjoy the ending a lot more. But they need to give Xehanort an extra form, because
an extra form, or even I'll even say this, motivation, because it's like, okay, so I heard like there has to be a proper balance. Okay, that sounds cool, but then it's like, did we just forgive the bad guy? Not really. I think everyone was just confused of, did we forgive him, did we not? It's more trying to make the villain sympathetic at the end, but it kind of came off a little, good idea, but execution was a little bit off.
I hated the idea of making Xehanort sympathetic, not at this point in the series. I think that they honestly looked at Thanos from Infinity War and they decided, hey, let's do that with Xehanort because Thanos was so loved.
But the thing is about that, he had screen time. A lot of screen time.
And it's not just that. It's that his previous screen time didn't contradict his motives in Infinity War.
He was sympathetic. He didn't want to kill Gamora. That's the beauty of it. He didn't want to kill Gamora, but he had to get the Soul Stone. It's a life for a life. And Gamora's almost bragging about it, saying, you can't do it, you can't do it. And yet, what does he do? Kills her.
He does exactly that.
But he's crying. This is someone who he actually loved, who he actually cared about. Yet
that's an example of how to make a sympathetic yet a monstrous villain that does have to be taken down. And I think that the thing is, Thanos didn't have his motives established before Infinity War, so it doesn't contradict his previous screen time. Meanwhile, Xehanort has had plenty of scenes in Birth by Sleep that paint him out to be a total monster. Like, particularly with the fact that he basically states his motives to Ericus. He wants to get Kingdom Hearts because he wants to seek answers on what lies within it. And there's no real reason for, if he was trying to make Ericus understand, why he wouldn't just say balance, that he wants to restore balance, instead of science. Because if you're going to have him say that, you're pretty much establishing that Xehanort truly doesn't care about anyone but himself. You're establishing him as a character who only wants to satisfy his curious desires. But with KH3, you basically changed his character, made him do a 180 in motives. Even within the narrative of KH3 itself, he already states his motives, saying that we will unlock the secrets of the Keyblade War. But now, suddenly, he wants to achieve balance? That makes no sense. And
it almost like there's like two different things they wanted from him. It's like, the secrets, maybe the secret was balance, or, just like, what happens. In Union Cross, I believe it was stated in Union Cross in one of the updates to the story where it's like, there's been more than one Keyblade War. There's like a few of them going on from time to time. So it's like, oh, so this hasn't happened once. It happens a few more times. So maybe that's probably what was the secret. Like, why does everyone wants Kingdom Hearts? Like, what is Kingdom Hearts? Don't know yet, which is still cool because no one knows what Kingdom Hearts is. I think that's still a good thing that the series
I
is
think
still.
that KH3 should have an extra fight with Xehanort, but this time it goes full throttle with it and has the final fight take place within Kingdom Hearts itself. That is one thing that I absolutely felt should have happened in KH3. Finding out what KH3 looks like, finding out what's actually in there, finally getting a conclusive answer onto what it actually is, and having that be the place where Xehanort finally is defeated, in the place that he so desired to get to see and have knowledge of, that being the place where he finally meets his end, is so thematically fitting for him. It's honestly a shock that he didn't do it. There's a bunch of ideas you can do with it. You can honestly, I think that the visuals of the Final Worlds would have been perfect if Kingdom Hearts was what the Final Worlds was.
To me, I would agree, but it's almost like like One Piece, like like the manga One Piece, where like everyone's going after the One Piece treasure, even though it's taking a while. Whatever it is, it's probably going to be something important later on in the story. So I am kind of glad a little bit that hey, we don't have to see Kingdom Hearts quite yet. So whatever Nomura has planned for that, I think he wants to get it right. So in my opinion, that's good. But then again, when you look at the Scala, a clan, I can't pronounce it. That when you look at it, it's like when you're fighting underwater, it's like, oh wait, this is that Daybreak town wherever they were at in.
Yeah, I know.
Here's a theory. Okay, hold on 1 second. We got a comment section right here. Here's a theory. What if Sora is the king, is Kingdom Hearts, or Kingdom Hearts? All right, hold on. Here's the theory. What if Sora is Kingdom Hearts, or the king of Kingdom Hearts? You know what? I actually kind of like that a little bit because why is everyone connected to Sora? Because it's always connected to Sora because reasons. I'll never know why. I know that he's the main character and all, but there's plenty of hints foreshadowing him as a king. Now that I read that, there's actually a pretty good thing about it. They're always targeting Sora. He's always the main protagonist because main protagonist reasons. However, when you think about it now, it's like, that's actually pretty good. You might be onto something.
I think it's an interesting theory, to say the least. It's a good interpretation of Sora, to say the least. I think it would be interesting to see if they go in that direction for the series going forward.
And especially when you think about Yozora, right? Yozora, Night Sky. But then you look at his fake game that he's in, Varium Rex, it means true king. Noctis in Final Fantasy is king. I can't remember exactly what's his full name again? Noctis. I can't remember the full name of Noctis.
Lucius Kylum.
Yes, thank you. Noctis Lucius Kylum. Part of that is like king, so Noctis is king, and ironically, Nomura has been trying to remake Final Fantasy Versus 13 for quite some time now. So
I honestly want to see him do it because that would be a.
I actually do want to see him do it. I mean, what do you think? Do you want to see the true Final Fantasy Versus 13 quack?
Yeah, sadly, I don't think that's ever going to happen because...
It might with Kingdom Hearts. It might or may not because when you look at Yozora, he looks very similar to Noctis from the early designs of Final Fantasy Versus 13. A little bit. But then it's like, I honestly do want to see it because we got 15, but it was almost like it was half-baked because they switched directors for whatever reasons. The story was kind of there, but not really. The DLC was definitely fixing it, but it's like, oh man, then it got canceled. It got canceled.
Yeah, I think that Final Fantasy 15 is probably one of the most tragic games ever made, but not because of its story, but because of just
development
how much
history.
wasted potential.
Of the development history. It started with Nomura with his own design, and it looks so cool when you see those early demos for the PS3. It looks so cool. It looked really awesome. But then the tragic story about it. Square wanted Final Fantasy 13, and they could have had they could have two development teams, but some people on Versus 13 were being taken off to go to work on Final Fantasy 13, and it just kept going on, and not to mention Final Fantasy 14 was also being made too. So again, more staff was being taken off, and just became a tragic. It too many years in development hell. Then it's like, let's reboot this. Let's bring back Final Fantasy as Final Fantasy 15, and I think that was gonna be so cool. That was gonna be so great. But then
I
again,
also
it just happened.
sorry. I also think that probably one of the biggest problems with 15 is that there was too much focus on the advertising. Like the anime, the movie that was made, all this stuff is really stuff that should have just been a focus in the main game. Okay, barring the anime, that really shouldn't have mattered. It's that all that could have been the game, and that could have pretty much been the introduction to FF15. Like you go through Insomnia, and you basically experience Noctis' past, and then boom, you play as King Regis in the first few fights. You get a taste of power, and then you play as Noctis for the rest of the game, along with his friends.
Okay, let's see here. I feel like there's a deeper meaning with when it comes down to a redesigned Noctis. The only thing that is never changes in his outfit is his necklace. Yeah, probably when you look at Yuzor that way. Yeah, because when you do look at Yuzor and Noctis, they are very, very similar. Very similar. Like when I first saw Yuzor, I'm like, wait a second, that's Noctis. And then you also look at his weapons. It's like, yeah, those looks like the royal arms and all. It's like they look very true. But we'll have to see. Oh, say Sora. Oh yeah, Sora. Thank you. Sorry about that. But either way, yeah.
Yozora is probably going to be like the make it or break it moment, because he's going to be the character that's going to determine whenever people check out the Kingdom Hearts series entirely or they stick with it. And they need to make sure they get him right with their minds, because we don't know anything about him. But if he is utterly bland and uninteresting, I think that this is probably going to stick with fans for a long time, because that would mean that we've essentially sacrificed the potentially interesting conclusion for this. And I think that's
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Sora's crown Netflix never leaves his clothing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Yuzora does not have the crown necklace at all. Yeah, Yuzora does not have the necklace on him. So yeah.
I think that also with the Reminds, they're probably gonna expand a lot of the. Hold on.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. So. Again, like I said, subscribe to my buddy's channel. His name is the Killer Critic. It's on YouTube, so I'll leave a link below at the end of this video, or you can find it on YouTube. So yeah, he's a really cool channel too. Plus, he had his own rewrite of Kingdom Hearts 3, which I kind of like. But yeah, I think that will make or break the series, in my opinion. But we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to wait and see how things go. Wait, am I going up or down? I can't quite remember. Enjoying the stream so far? First time ever doing this. I actually don't know why it needs a necklace. I don't know why. To me, I kind of think that's like it could be sentimental value of either by his parents or could just be a nice design. But I don't know. Maybe some stuff don't need to be explained too often. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Where am I going? The frozen level. Oh yeah, that's right. You only hear Sora's mom's once in the original Kingdom Hearts 1, and you never see her after that. It could be a gift from his mom or by somebody. Who knows? I believe the parents are talked about. They're talked about a little bit in Chain of Memories, but not by much. You don't hear about too much about them. It's like, oh, one parent is a mayor, and that's about it. Also, is he ever gonna visit his mom? Is he ever gonna visit his mom? That's my big question. Are the kids ever gonna visit their parents again? I mean, you think that they would, like, just have one scene or just two scenes with their parents, and that's about it. I think I would be happy about that.
Alright, I'm back.
All right.
So, about playable Kyrie, I think that Kyrie is probably going to have a much bigger role in the
Sora never
post-game.
finishes dinner. Okay, so I'm talking to our wonderful audience here. It's like where the necklace come from for Sora. Nobody knows. I thought it could be
I
from his
think
mom.
that,
And
I think
just to
it's,
bring up about
it's-
this, Sora never finishes dinner with his mom. After like a full year or year and a half of fighting, he never got his dinner until Ratatouille.
Sora's too old for dinner at this point.
Except for
He just-
Ratatouille. Except for Ratatouille, he'll make the dinner now.
Remy is
Thank
Sora's
you,
mom transformed into a rat. Fight that theory. I dare you.
Okay, but when I look at the whole, let's go back into Remind It now, even further than that. Besides from the whole playable character, Act 3. I think that was one of my big major complaints about Act 3 was that it was a fine moment, but it felt like, could we done more? Yes, and lo and behold, holy crap! Reminded is Act 3 looks so much better. There was more stakes. We got besides the playable characters, and just looks so much more big, epic conclusion battle. That's kind of what I wanted in it, and it looks like it's gonna give me it.
I think that it's also very likely that we're gonna have a party that has all the Guardians aside from Sora and Kyrie, because she's dead and all.
Ish until we save her, which looks really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna have like Riku leading the other Guardians and battling the other Xehanorts. Like the clone Xehanorts.
Clone Xehanorts, and of course the multiple incarnations of Dark Inferno, which that looks really cool. That looks cool.
I honestly was kind of hoping that they wouldn't just do a reskin of Dark Inferno. I was kind of hoping they'd do something more interesting, like maybe how about doing a version of Sora, like a organization Sora. I was kind of hoping they'd do something crazy like that.
Or Yozora just could be someone else from a different timeline.
I do hope Yozora is a boss.
If Yozora's a cool boss, then that would be one thing I'll be so shocked about, but be really cool. Act 3 seemed rushed because Xehanort was so hyped and felt easier to Ansem and felt easier than Ansem and Xemnas. Yeah, that's kind of true. Xemnas and Ansem, Xehanort, Xemnas, they were hard, but good hard. But they didn't go out without a fight. Xehanort, his last battle was pretty cool. His last act was really cool.
Yeah, but it felt like something used for like phase 2, not like a phase 3 battle.
A little bit, yeah. I've heard some people like it. I heard some people don't, but to me, I'm kind of mixed about it.
It doesn't really have some of the iconic moments you
Come
see
Guardian!
from Xemnas.
Come Guardian from Ants. Like Anthem has the Come Guardian.
Where he has submit.
Oh yeah. What if the Master of Masters is pulling over? That is one theory. I'm gonna say this. Everybody doesn't know too much about the Master of Masters. But the one thing that I do love about the Master of Masters is that he holds all the answers. He knows everything. Because he saw the future already. And he knows what's gonna happen. Yep, and Zigbar is Lushu, at least that's gonna that I thought that reveal was cool. Oh wait, who was connected? No, that's not who's connected. Is that the Master of Masters has seen everything, or at least he has knowledge of the events that are to come. Which is kind of why, when you think about it, who's connected to the Master of Masters? That would be Zigbar and all the other foretellers. They were like the ones who connected to the Master of Masters. Which is kind of odd and why you see them all together at the epilogue.
There's one thing that I think that I think that it's quite possible that the Master of Masters might be a secret boss in the Remind DLC. And if they do that, they need to. I really would like that. I'd like to see what this guy can really. I want because with Xemnas, in KH1, that was truly really know what his power was, and it pretty much stood out from all the other bosses. I want the Master Masters to have a boss fight that truly sticks out from the rest of the series. And I really am hoping Ray Chase comes back to play him because
Ray Chase, he's very
he
good.
freaking owned the role.
Ray Chase even liked my tweet about it. Like, I was in a tweet thread. Who's the Master Masters? Some people say them next. I'm not seeing it too much. No offense. Literally, okay. But to me, the Master Masters is the Master Masters. His personality is different. He's very different from everyone else, and it's that performance by Ray Chase that makes him so memorable. At least in the English dub, to say the least. And
he
it's
sounds
so
like
good.
He sounds like what a Kingdom Hearts version of Dante would sound like.
Kind of a little bit, but that's why you love him. And to me, I think Zigbar and all the foretellers, I think it's going to be true. They are going to play a much bigger part than what we are going to imagine. First, they were kind of like on the guidelines ish, but now it's like, okay, now they're all here together. Why are they here? And after all, one of them asks, Zigbar, aka Lucio, why have you summoned us? And then it's about to tell a story, which looks. So, my opinion, they're going to play a bigger role. It's either they're going to be. I kind of think of all the foretellers as anti-heroes. Not really good guys, not really bad guys. Almost like people that are now going to try to make up amends for their past mistakes.
Now about the whole post-game thing with Reminds that takes place after Sora goes to save Kairi, I think that they're probably going to have Sora go through maybe a couple of fights in the Realm of Darkness or in the Final World. I'm hoping we don't do it dragged on for too long. Like
now,
I think they could.
Yeah. They could have had one or twice, but now it looks like that we are going to have to use the power of Awakening, ironically, to save him. And hey, look at that. Skyward Wing was right once again. He got it right. He got it right. Because Sora kept using the power of Awakening, Kairi from Digimon's like, because he kept using it, now you're going to die. He's 2 for 2.
I think what's gonna probably happen with Remind is that they're gonna have Kairi and Sora team up for the Final World phase, which is what I think should have happened when you first went to the Final Worlds in KH3. They would have at least given Kairi an actual role within that fight, and I think that was probably one of the most wasted potential kind of thing. I also noticed that Sora is gonna be a party member for those fights, and yeah, I'm kind of wondering.
It kind of does look like
Sora's
it, though.
Gonna be...
It looks like half of it, then maybe some of it might be Kairi, so it will depend.
And yeah, I think that they're probably going to have Kairi be fighting Xehanort alongside Sora, and they're probably going to have a special limit with each other, which is what I've always wanted to see. I've always wanted to see what a limit between those two to be like.
Oh, that would be really cool. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, they're probably going to do that, and Shylock's pretty awesome, I'll admit. And I'm interested to see how they're going to handle with Kairi fighting Xehanort again. They're probably going to have Sora and Kairi fight Xehanort one final time, and he's probably going to be the true final boss of it. And I think that with the armored Xehanort fights, the ones where all the clones show up, I think we're probably going to be able to play as the other Guardians and see what they were doing at the time, which I think is very important because I felt like they pretty much got sidelined for the fights.
I think so,
and
too.
I think that I'm hoping that the fight itself isn't just I hope the fight itself isn't just a reaction command, because that would be disappointing, because I think reaction commands were good in KH2, but I'm hoping that the whole fight isn't just a reaction command. I want you to be able to switch between them all. Like
Hopefully.
you want to select a character, you can choose that, and then you can just play as them. And then maybe occasionally there's a reaction command, and then you team up with the other cast.
This PS4 is so old of mine. I can't wait to get the PS5.
Man, I'm hoping that has backwards compatibility.
I think they confirmed it.
No, they haven't yet. But if it
Not
does,
yet.
oh boy.
Oh boy, then I'm just gonna keep all my games. Gonna probably track down my old PS2. I believe my sister still has it. I'm not 100% sure. I believe she sold some games, but not all of them. But hey, if she didn't sell Kingdom Hearts 2, then, then I'm just gonna play that constantly.
That will convince me to go and get 2FM on the PS2 just so I can mod the living hell out of it. They're freaking making entirely new characters with KH2. It's pretty damn impressive when you look at it.
It is impressive that there's a lot of new characters coming in, and to me, when you have almost too many characters, there's a point where you say, okay, how many we keep, how many we don't, or you don't keep for the separate series. But we'll see how things go. All right, let's see here. Yeah. I think the whole, when we talk about Kairi being in Reminded, at least part of it is gonna be like she will at least help out Source. After all, she is his light, so I think that will play a much better role than originally what she had, at least in my opinion. So it'll be much better that way.
Yeah, I think that also the Final Fantasy characters. I think that I'm not gonna be surprised if there's no Sephiroth fights. Although then again,
Maybe we could be wrong. Maybe he's in there.
Because
Maybe he's in there.
FF7 is around the corner. Like,
Final Fantasy 7 FF7 remake is definitely around the corner.
So it could be possible we'll see Sephiroth, and I hope he's in because I always really wanted a chance. As long as they fix base Sora's combos, then I would really be excited. I think that was probably the biggest killer for me is base Sora.
Hey Tyler, we're doing good. Me and Killer Critic, we're doing pretty good. Yeah, my day's pretty good. I worked out today. The Packers won their game. How about you, Critic? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. I basically have been playing through Lingering Will some more in KH2, and then doing what I do best in my favorite action game, DMC5, and just making demons look like chump change to me.
Yeah, I'm also playing some more Neo. I'm still dying in that game. I'm still dying in Neo.
I honestly kind of wonder what a taunt in KH would be like. Like taunting the enemy, like Sora can crack jokes or something.
Everyone can't be our boy Dante. Everybody can't be our boy Dante, but Sora, he does have his moments. He does have his moments where he's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I definitely think that if anyone should get a taunt, it would be Axel because
Quentin Flynn is a very good actor. I respect him so much. I mean, it's Raiden, for Pete's sake, guys. It's Raiden.
Man,
you guys hyped for the data battles coming back? Oh, definitely. I'm actually really excited for the data battles. I enjoy them in Kingdom Hearts 2. These guys, I'll give Osaka credit. They do know how to make some very good flashy moves and everything. So, hey, if they take that and these are going to be one-on-one fights now, hopefully they're going to be great. I'm really excited
for the Dia. I'm really excited for the Dia boss battles. I'm particularly interested to see what they do with Vanitas because I've always wanted to see a true Sora versus Vanitas fight.
To me, Vanitas was kind of annoying in Birth by Sleep, but I kind of like Haley Joel Osment's performance because it's different than Sora. He's allowed to be a bit more mature with Vanitas, and I'm like, I always want to fight a true proper battle with Vanitas, and look, this one looks like that it might be giving me that. Than him just always running away, going nope, and just being annoying in Breath by Sleep. But hey, I'm excited. Probably the one I'm most excited for is Xemnas because oh man, Smash Triangle again. Oh man.
More like hold the block. I think
hold the block. I hope they fix block. That's gotta get fixed.
I think you're probably going to have to block once. It's probably like if you miss that one block, you're dead instantly. I think that Ansem in particular looks pretty impressive because of just how big his attacks seem to be. I'm interested to see what they do with Ansem in particular since he won't have his Guardian with him. Or at least that's what it seems to be like.
Yeah, that's true. And to me, when I look at Reminded, again, Quack, I do agree with you that the relationship between Kairi and Sora is definitely going to be much more improved around this time around than it was in the base game. In the base game, they had like a few scenes together, which were nice, but I wanted that to always to expand upon. And like we said, Reminded is definitely giving us that and going beyond that because why? They're fighting together for once. She's there with him in the final world, and so on and so forth. And I only hope that there's more cutscenes like that in the game. Heck, the scene before the final battle and everything, is when Kyrie and Sora, they're on the treetop, the pop-up tree, them just talking together. I like that moment. It's just them talking to each other, and it worked. These are two people talking to each other, discussing, this is the final battle, what's gonna happen. Sora's like, I'll protect you. Then she's like, no, I'll protect you. Yeah, and reminded that is.
Honestly, the way this scene framed, it's actually almost like a punchline. Like, it's so easy to make a joke video out of it. Just to have Kyrie
I
say,
kind of
"Let
like
me
what we're
protect you,"
trying to
and
do
then
for the moment.
Slash.
At the
Yeah,
moment,
I'm glad they're.
the
I'm
moment
glad
felt
they're
nice,
making
but I
it.
thought like, well, almost quite there, but it'll definitely be good.
Yeah, I think that playable Kyrie is definitely the way to go to really at least make her interesting.
Interesting
Like,
to see. And just
yeah.
gain more screen time with the duo. Because after all, like, you need time for characters to grow. Like it's like cinema or just anything. Like, you need time for characters to grow together, and you're gonna need to give the audience that time. If you don't give them time, then it's like it might come off a little flat.
Yeah, I think that I also
And that's true. A lot of the
noticed-
songs together, like Simple and Clean and Think Twice, like the lyrics kind of fit Kyrie and Sora together, or just in general any character. So yeah, it's gonna work out. So hopefully, please, the Sokai shippers really need it.
Looking back, I also noticed about the Keyblade Graveyard fights where Terranord and Vanias are fought, but instead you play as Aqua and Ven, or you play as Roxas, Axel, and Xion. Yeah, those fights I think are probably gonna be like
Really good.
those fights need to be fixed at the very least, so like the party members are not overpowered and they're not just basically making the enemies jokes, but they also need to at the very least be only able to target you one at a time. And if your party members are knocked out, there needs to be a part of the attacks where they will attack you in conjunction, but like they'll have special attacks that have them combined. So it's basically one enemy with two characters instead.
True, very true, correct. Yeah, and
the enemies need to become actual threats once there's one left.
Which is probably the last thing we'll probably talk about. Reminded, which I was gonna get to right away. Which, since we talked long enough, there's backstories to the organization, which we're finally getting, and Shion's backstory. When that was announced, I'm like, no way. So we're finally giving Shion even more screen time. But most importantly, in my opinion, which kind of fell flat to me in the base story, was the villains. They were there, but they didn't do too much.
I could sum it up like this: "Hey, I'm in this Disney World. Sora, you suck. Bye," and then disappears.
Now, besides them, trying to connect to the plot, which is fine. If the pacing kind of suffers, then the story is going to suffer. But to me, since we have Organization 13 members actually interacting with the plot for once, well, actually not for once, but in this game, finally, like, you have the scene with, Zigbar and Luxord. They're talking to each other, but they're talking about the black box and what's in it. Like, hey, there we go. Let's get this cutscene going. There we go. And going much further than that, we have Shion's backstory on, like, why is she in the organization? There we go. I want to see the backstory. I really do.
Man, if there's one boss that needs to really be changed for the group balance, it is Luxord, because he is
too
freaking
easy.
pathetic.
Luxord was way too easy in Kingdom Hearts 3, but even when you fight him in Kingdom Hearts 2, he was actually much better since it was a game of time, and if you weren't quick enough or fast enough to hit him a lot or get the games correct, you would die right away. So there you go. Hopefully he's fixed.
Luxord's most common quote: "A challenge, isn't it?"
Yep.
Or, "Don't waste your cards," or, "Look who's on top of the game." Funny thing, Luxord's voice actor also plays Travis Touchdown.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But let's get to the final verdicts. Let's get to the final verdicts right now. We talked about a lot about Reminder. We talked about stuff we liked about the game, base game. It's fine, but there's some moments that could have been fixed. We talked about stuff we Reminder that was like, hey, we're finally fixing stuff, and shouldn't be going there. I know there's always just one big complaint that everyone's going to keep saying. Why wasn't this in the base game? I think, in my opinion, I think they just ran out of time, honestly. Or, they just couldn't get to it right away and just hope for the best. It could have been stuff from Square. It could have been the business. It could have been executives from Square saying we're running out of time, or it could have been Disney saying controlling things. Who knows? Because information about Kingdom Hearts 3, when you look at it, it's still kind of scarce. We really didn't get a whole lot of information until about 2018. Besides from the occasional, oh wait, guys, here's an update that we have for you at Kingdom Hearts events, or we had a trailer for at E3 2015, stuff they would show off for a little bit, but it wasn't too much. So, in all honesty, in my opinions, we may or may not know about it. But if there is more information out there that comes out, I would definitely love to know on just what in the world, what happened to this game. It felt like they had a lot of passion going into it. They were all very excited for it. But something happened down the line. So who knows?
I think it's more the fact that they put their focus in the wrong places. I think that they put too much focus in making the worlds big because, well, yes, they are big, there's nothing to do with them. So they wasted time on developing worlds that could have probably been shorter, but have a more structured combat style, and I think that a lot of the stuff really is there's really a good argument for a lot of the stuff being in the base game. All the playable characters, particularly a playable Roxas and Kyrie, are stuff that I can definitely agree people should have been in the base game. And the Dea boss battles, well, it's not just the Dea bosses themselves, but just fighting the organization one-on-one is stuff that should have been in the base game.
The data battles are fun. Like, they're just fun extra content, just like in base Kingdom Hearts 2. But what did we get to... I mean, the final mix. But what did you get to do in the base Kingdom Hearts 2 that you couldn't in base Kingdom Hearts 3? You could fight. You could fight Demnix twice. You fought Zigbar. You fought Sayax. You fought Luxlord before you got to Xemnas. That was really cool. That was awesome. And you had Disney boss battles.
And also, there's also the fact that they need to really fix, like, there's one thing I noticed about the Xemnas, Ansem, and Young Xehanort is that they ironically had a perfect solution to at least having 3 enemies at once with the party at least active. Because if you notice, all of the party members, when your party members are active, each organization member will glow a purple color. So that's the one that's going to attack you. And that was probably the system that I don't even get why they didn't just have all the battles. Like, why not just do this instead? Is it really a good idea to just make all the bosses just completely unfair because you can't see which one's going to attack you next?
True.
When an enemy will teleport and then they'll be the one that's in front of you and then they'll attack you. That's what I think at least made the fight more tolerable.
Yeah, I definitely see your point, but let's get a final thoughts. To me, I am definitely hoping reminded. I've stated this in multiple of my tweets. Whether it be tweeting at other fellow Kingdom Hearts members or people who love the game on Twitter. I know that the Kingdom Hearts team, in general, they can make good games. 358 Days Over 2, Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2. They can make good games. Even some games that I found flawed, there were moments in there that I thought were really good. Birth by Sleep, I felt like, hey, playing through Aqua and Terra Story and Ven stories, they were really good. They had some moments that were good. Others were kind of like, that could have been tweaked out a little bit better, but there were moments that were really good. Even the ending to Birth by Sleep, I thought, hey, you know what? When you do beat the game as Aqua, it's a really nice moment because Destiny Union is playing. Aqua was saved by her friend's Keyblades, by their light in the end. I thought that was cool. Aqua was remembering everybody from the journey, and then she's like, "There's always a way." Roll credits, simple and clean. It's playing. I thought that was a nice way to end the game. I don't like Breath by Sleep as much as the next person, but I thought, bam, that is a good way to end the game. Even Kingdom Hearts 3, we'll give them credit where it's due. The fact that you got to save Aqua, excellent. Saving Ven, great. Having all of the Keyblade wielders reunions come together at Keyblade Graveyard, great, awesome moments. I wish there was more like that. And like I said, reminded, I know they can do it. There it is, right there. I'm hoping they can still win me in the end, because I do like this series from time to time, and I hope it's good.
I'm thinking that Remind, it's probably going to fix a lot of my issues with it, particularly the lack of playable characters, because that's probably the thing I'm really hoping that they do. And it's probably going to fix my story-related issues with Aqua and Ben basically being useless in the story, and the same with Riku and Mickey. Well, Mickey won't be fixed. Neither will Riku, because they were useless with Anti-Aqua. But I think that they're going to at least fix them in the Keyblade Graveyard, and with Kairi, I think that they are going to be able to fix her somewhat, but not really that much, because you had to rewrite the entire story to make Kairi good in the KH3 story. But gameplay-wise, I'm interested to play as all these characters, because that's probably the one thing that I felt KH3 needed to nail down, because that's kind of what KH3 is. All of its original characters, yeah. I think that the Day boss battles are probably going to be one of my favorite parts of the game. I mean, hopefully I can play as the other characters, because I think that's basically a necessity if you're going to make these other characters playable. You have to at least be able to use them in other fights. I think I'm especially hoping that they're still playable in battle portals, at the very least. Because, and like, aside from, I know with Toy Story, they have to go and change it, but like, they don't need to really change their designs. They can just have them as their normal designs. I can tolerate that. And like, you just play as them instead by themselves. It seems like a good self-imposed challenge or something. And I'd like to see if maybe in Reminds they possibly allow you to change your party in the battle portals. Perhaps even go for some crazy combinations. Like, for example, having Woody and Buzz and Mike and Sully in the party while you're playing as Roxas or something. Something crazy like that. That'd be interesting. And hopefully,
That's true. That's true. Sora had no Keyblade training. Neither did Riku, and they both saved the world twice. That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
I'm interested to see what Remind brings to the table, and I will give it a chance, and I'll probably do a video on it and Critical Mode in general. I'm probably just going to do like a video based around KH3 after all of its content is released, basically when it becomes KH3 FM, basically.
And that's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to look at what happened, what before the game release, information, base game, after the fact, all the content that was given to us, till the final mix, to see if this is a better overall game by that point. So yeah, very true, very true.
Alright, well, I'm going to have to sign off right now, so see ya.
Yep, see you later. And thank you guys for enjoying this video. Hit that like button, subscribe for more. Subscribe to my buddy Killer Critic. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Sayonara, guys.